Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. I just want to briefly touch upon the fact that years ago, Dwayne Johnson was considered franchise Viagra. And what I mean by that is, if you take any franchise, whether it be Fast and the Furious, or Jumanji, or whatever the other franchises that The Rock joined, he would instantly elevate it to levels that it wouldn't have gotten to if not for him being in it. You take a movie like Fast and Furious that would only make $300 to $400 million, and instantly by putting Dwayne Johnson in it, makes another $100 to $200 million. It was the same thing with Jumanji, and a lot of films. You can make the argument that if he wasn't in it, they wouldn't have made the money that they did. For a long time, people would show up just to see him because he was such a badass. He was the modern day Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he was this larger than life action hero that was an unstoppable force and just had so much charisma it oozed out of him. Now, you have a movie like The Smashing Machine, where he's playing a real life person that was part of the very first wave of the UFC when it was first created in Mark Kerr, and the movie cost $50 million to make, which first and foremost, this movie should not have cost $50 million. I've seen it, I enjoyed it very much so. It was not a $50 million movie. This movie could have been made for $10 million and would have had the same quality. It's because of him that it was that high of a budget, because he's got to bring his trailer, he's got to bring all of his Terramana. Him himself is a big paycheck, like he requires a lot of money to be in movies. So it was a $50 million budget, and it's only in its like second or third week, $16 million worldwide. Now you can make the argument that not a lot of people care about Mark Kerr, sure, but not a lot of people cared about the characters that The Rock was playing in other movies that no one knew who they were, but people still showed up to watch it because it was The Rock. So why aren't they doing it here? I don't think it's because no one cares about Mark Kerr. I think that in, small, it has a lot to do with the fact that there has been some controversy with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in the media as of the last couple years. On one hand, it was revealed that he doesn't want to leave the set to go to the bathroom because he doesn't want to waste anyone's time. So instead, he pees in a water bottle and gives it to his assistant to throw out so he doesn't have to, halt production, which is like, on one hand, I would appreciate that as a director. Like, you don't want to, shut production down for 20 minutes so you could walk down the hall and go to the bathroom. But at the same time, it's kind of disgusting that you're peeing in water bottles and asking your assistant to throw them out. But it was also discovered that he shows up hours late to set because he has to work out first to keep his physique, which I saw a lot of people go to the defense of him, like, yeah, well, they hired him to be in this movie because of his size, so of course the guy's got to work out sometime to maintain that size. And it's like, yeah, but just like anything else, you can't do it on company time. If start time for production is at 8 a.m., you can't work out until 11 o'clock in the morning and then show up 3.5 hours late. Like, that's just not how that works. Every hour that they're on set is millions upon millions of dollars, and he needs to find it in his time to either work out even earlier in the morning, like 4 or 5 o'clock, or late at night. So you mix those two things together and you can clearly see that he's a little problematic on set. Apparently he is a really nice guy, he just likes to do things his way. But then there was all the controversy surrounding DC, about how he tried to stiff arm his way into DC and taking full creative control over the entire universe, with his Black Adam character being at front and center. He tried to essentially mold the DC universe into his image, and he wanted Superman to come back essentially so he could fight him and beat him and show the world just how powerful Black Adam is. But Black Adam crashed and burned, and it was revealed that he was trying to stiff arm Warner Brothers into giving him this creative control, and it kind of made him look like a cocky bully. And you mix all this stuff together, and he has a lot of this controversy surrounding him now, where the shine of The Rock is no longer there. He doesn't have that aura around him anymore. He seems a little problematic, and he's like going down swinging, like, which you could respect. Anyone going down swinging, like, I respect that, but like, you can clearly see, like, he's going down the slopes. He's reached his peak in terms of his box office draw, and now he's slowly declining, but he's going down with the fight, and he's blaming everybody else, and he's pointing fingers, and he's saying it's this person, it's that person. When he was coming out with The Smashing Machine, long before it ever released and tanked financially, he was talking about how the reason he kept being in action adventure movies is because Hollywood pigeonholed him into that and forced him to do that. And it's like, not for nothing, but that's because of you, Dwayne. You had it in your contract that you had to only be in movies that were able to show off your physical prowess, and you were never to lose a fight in any of your movies. And you pigeonholed yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, I love The Rock. I've seen all of his movies. I was there day one for Skyscraper, Faster. I love his movie Snitch. He is a phenomenal actor, but I agree that he is on the outs. Now, I don't think that the controversy is fully to blame here for the failure of The Smashing Machine. I do also just think that Dwayne Johnson is in his 50s. When he was first brought into Fast 5, I feel like that was kind of like the height of him being this insane franchise Viagra macho man action hero. He was still, he was like in his like mid 30s. He was a convincing action hero. I think after you do the same shtick for so long, it eventually starts to wear on people. This isn't back in the day, like in the 80s, where Arnold and Sylvester were like battling toe to toe and action movies were like at peak all-time high. Like, that's what people wanted to see. Big dudes with big muscles beating up bad guys. There's still a hunger for that. I mean, just look at Reacher on Amazon with Alan Richardson, but more people show up to that because he's younger and more believable in the role, and we haven't seen him really do anything like that, where it's like The Rock plays The Rock in every movie he's in, whether it's the Fast and Furious, whether it's the Jungle Cruise movies, whether it's Jumanji, whether it's Skyscraper, or any of the movies he did with Kevin Hart, or any of the movies he did on Netflix with Ryan Reynolds. Like, he always plays the same character, and people get desensitized. They get sick of seeing the same thing over and over and over, and I give him credit because he also realized that, which is why he went to do The Smashing Machine with Benny Safdie, who he thought was going to get him an Oscar, and people didn't show up. And on one hand, yes, it's the controversy, it's this, that, it's the fact that people are sick of him in these roles, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, because considering that's all he's done in the last 15 years, and this isn't just me saying this is like my nieces and nephews talking about it, the people that are going to still show up for him, albeit it's not as many as it used to be back in like the Fast 5 days, the little fans that he still has only want to see him play that same character that he keeps playing, the over-the-top badass action hero. And The Smashing Machine, that is not, it's not an action hero role. It's about a man who is at an all-time high as like the top of the game in terms of UFC. He loses his first fight, and because of it, he becomes a drug addict because he wants to get back in the ring and become number one again, but due to his age and a bunch of other health concerns, he needs these pills and this medicine to keep him in shape, but it winds up making more problems than it doesn't, and it's a very serious character study film, and definitely not something that my niece and nephew want to go see, which are the only people that are going to see his films anymore. I mean, look at Jumanji. It's a kid's movie that I like, but it's a kid's movie, and those are the movies that are still making money, and unfortunately, I think he's in a position right now where he has to make a choice. Either go back to doing movies like that for another 10 years, but then the problem with that is he's only going to face this problem again once he's older and can't stay this size anymore, or just weather the storm. Smashing Machine failed. Just pick yourself up, get back on your feet, and do another movie like The Smashing Machine, and then do another movie like that, and then do another movie like that, and do another movie like that, and people will slowly start to realize, okay, The Rock isn't The Rock anymore. He's not this big hulking man anymore. Now he's a serious actor gunning for his Oscar. He wants to do serious films, and slowly you'll transition people, but it's not going to happen over the course of one film. You have to keep doing it. So that's my thoughts. I think that people are sick of seeing him in the same roles, but the small amount of fans that he has left only want to see him in those action hero roles, which is why The Smashing Machine failed. Also mixed with his controversy and the fact that not a lot of people care about Mark Kerr. That's what my thoughts are on Dwayne Johnson. I think he's going to be just fine. He's too big of a personality to just disappear in Hollywood. He's going to keep acting for the next 20 years. I just don't think he's going to be 300 pounds of solid muscle anymore. But what say you? What do you think of The Rock? Do you have any theories as to why The Smashing Machine failed? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.